to, I'm just gonna put that down there.
Were you supposed to go live like
10 minutes ago. Yeah, it's all right. It's all right.
They can put you back in, or?
Yep, we're on just, it's an FCM Plus.
What time?
All right, I guess we're live now. People are just kind of watching me look down at the screen here. But yeah, we're live here on FCN Plus, streaming with you here. We are actually out in Summer Haven, so actually just Crescent Beach area at the moment. We're heading towards Summer Haven. I'm meteorologist Robert Speta. I'm with our photographer Oben, and we're just going to go look at some waves out here along the coast. So that's the big thing here with Imelda. It is the fact that the tides are being pushed up. In fact, you can kind of see it off towards our right here. This is the intracoastal, and the tides are definitely high. Right around 2:30 was high tide. Now it's starting to go back down, but we're still seeing some pretty decent waves crashing right along the coast. And these homes that after Ian and Nicole, we got some pretty serious flooding with there, and it actually opened up a whole new inlet there just north of Summer Haven. I've been looking at some of those houses out there. That water is rushing right out and under them. So we're going to talk about that, but also I want to just make sure I have some graphics up. There we go. Just asking the guys back in the studio how we're doing, but it should be a look at Imelda right now. So that storm currently is 60 miles per hour sustained inside the center of it. It is still a tropical storm, expected to become a hurricane moving off towards north and east. 1 second. Moving off towards north and east, and this is going to be moving away from the Florida coast. Today, about the peak of it. So no, if you see us in the protector roaming around Crescent Beach and even over towards the Summer Haven area and even out towards Marineland, we're not saying that a hurricane is coming. All right, I want to stress that. This is going to be passing just towards our east and kind of moving just offshore. But we are still going to be looking at high enough waves to definitely be dangerous, as well as some dangerous rip currents, rough surf, all of that stuff here. So right now I'm still just trying to get my computer to work. It looks like this is kind of froze up on me just a little bit, so I'm going to try to refresh the connection, see if that does work a little bit. Still not. Interesting. All right, let's see if I can get that. Problem with being out in the Summer Haven area is that the internet connection is subpar. We're kind of in a, I wouldn't say remote, shout out to everybody in this area, but it is definitely away from the city here. So we should have the track up on the screen here, but the big thing is that it's moving off towards our north and eventually just towards our east. But we are seeing winds from last I checked, about 20 to 30 miles per hour along the coast. That is not destructive by any means. It's basically a solid breeze, but like I said, some pretty decent waves. Small craft advisories are in place for just offshore, and we're going to show you here in just a second as we cross the Matanzas Inlet. Fun fact for those of you watching, not a fun fact, opposite of a fun fact. It's called the Matanzas Inlet. Matanzas is massacre. You can actually see we're passing the sign right there in Spanish, because the Fort Caroline, which is in Jacksonville, was French. And then St. Augustine was Spanish, and they were feuding back, 500 years ago. And basically the French sent a fleet of ships down to try to take out St. Augustine. They failed dramatically. There was a hurricane that hit them. Storm washed up right here. The ships that did survive the storm, everybody washed up right here at the Matanzas Inlet. And then the St. Augustine person here decided, all right, well, I'm going to go take care of them. And they came down and killed everybody. And thus it's called the Matanzas. You can turn left right here. It's called the Matanzas Inlet today. So, yeah, there's an interesting little tidbit. So we're turning here into Summer Haven. You can actually see people are out there fishing, coming over the inlet. My graphics are not loading at all. So there's that. It's interesting. Without graphics. So for those back in the studio, if you can hear me right now, maybe just send me a message with a thumbs up, because I can't run my graphics. We're kind of out here. Maybe I can connect to the Starlink and try to see it since the skies are cleared up. But anyways, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to switch over. You just keep going. Switch over to the roof cam. And what we're going to do is just look out. It's nice. Actually, you can pull up right in here. Why don't we pull right in here for now? And then we can go down a little bit further later. So there you go. There we go. So this is Summer Haven, just kind of giving you a good idea of the waves out here. High tide was right around about 2:30 p.m. And yeah, you can see, you know, solid wave action. But like I said, it's nothing. Oh, there goes my graphics. It just came back up. Hooray. So solid wave action out there. Let's see if I can switch over and just show you the winds here on my, let's see. There we go. Now my graphics are working. Let's take a look at this storm. So first off, what's the latest with Imelda here? Winds right now, yeah, they're up to about 60 miles per hour. Yeah, pressure is at 988 millibars. And it's moving towards the north at about 9 miles per hour. It's offshore, and you can see that here on the, hopefully I do have the satellite picture up. Yeah, you can see it is organized a little bit more so today than it was just 24 hours ago, but still it's not the most organized of storm systems by any means. Fairly disrupted here at this time. And you can see on the northwestern periphery of it, in fact, basically what we're seeing here in Summer Haven and up and down the first coast, we're in Flagler County, St. Johns County, over towards Duval, is the interaction between this low itself and a high pressure ridge towards the north and west, and that's creating this kind of steady onshore breeze. But I mean, right now, actually, you know what, I got a let's see if I can pop this up, because I got a weather station here, and since we're stationary, oh, sorry about that. Since we're stationary, I can actually get a good, accurate depiction of the wind. I'm going to pop me on the inside here. And yeah, when I was saying gusts, I don't know. Yeah, it's 15, 16 miles per hour right now. Pressure is down to 29084. That's the Navy at me, 29084. But it is falling. So this is one thing that is kind of noticeable. So on the top of the screen, I wonder if you can see it. It says the pressure has gone down 0.10 inches of mercury in the last 3 hours. So the pressure is falling, which makes absolute sense given where our storm system is. It's just towards our southeast, and it's not directly approaching the first coast, but it definitely is close enough where you can get that pressure fall and get that tighter pressure gradient, and thus get those winds increasing out here. I gotta see, my internet is absolutely horrid here, so I'm not sure what's the graphics are on the screen right now, but it's bouncing in and out. Anyways, yeah, so actually, see right there, I got the in-house stuff though. We're making it work, friends. 23 miles per hour sustained right now, so that's a steady, stiff breeze. Not destructive by any means or anything like that, but it's definitely a steady, stiff breeze. All right, let's hop over. There we go. Let's throw out the camera here. I'm just going to zoom right in on some of these waves, because what we're seeing, yeah, so this whole rock front right here in Summer Haven was actually just put in not too long ago. I would say over the past year and a half, to stop erosion here on the coast, which makes perfect sense given the fact that you get all this wave action out here, and you got all the homes right here on the waterfront. So they basically put in all these rocks to kind of stop the erosion. It does make for a dramatic wave scratching, but this is not the natural waterfront for this specific area. Just a little heads up on it. And yeah, I can see, actually I should have on the screen the winds now. That's yeah, yeah, St. Augustine is sustained at about 17 miles per hour. So that coincides with where I'm getting right here at Summer Haven, which is about 20 to 25 miles per hour out here. Let's see if I can change up some of the graphics as well. Yeah, this isn't loading. It's a hot mess. Okay, there we go. There we got our models. Basically, all the guidance is expecting us to churn towards the right in the next about 12 hours. That's the other thing. So, yeah, you know, for the first coast and really the east coast of Florida, what you're getting out here today and maybe even to tomorrow morning is about the worst of it, friends. And that's the key thing. And here on these updates, we never try to hype. I know that's what a lot of people think, that we're hyping things up, but it's really not the case. I'm going to be real with you. It's a solid, stiff breeze. I see people out here fishing today. But the big thing, and as you can see with this shot here, and when I say shot, the image you got on your screen, is that it's not a good beach day. It's not a good day to be out there in the water. Obviously, these waves are rough. We got small craft advisories offshore. It is and actually I can see a little bit of rain, it looks like, just off towards our north. I flipped around the screen here. Let's actually see if I can pull up the radar, if it works. Let's hope it'll load up for me. There we go. So, yeah, so if I zoom in on the area I'm at, so I'm just north of Palm Coast, south of St. Augustine, looking towards the north. And looking towards the north, you can actually see here on our camera, here in the Protector, we got some showers just offshore, and that's what it looks like. So I like the side-by-side, if we have the radar on the screen and we have that image from the Protector, kind of showing you what we're looking at. And that's the whole point of the Protector here, is to give you a on-the-ground truth realization of what we're showing here on the radar and what it kind of looks like as well. So yeah, that's one of the things. I wonder if we got people following us on socials right now, maybe on our Facebook page if we're streaming. I'm curious if we're getting any questions or anything like that. Oben, who's our photographer here in the next to me, do you want to drive up and maybe go to the end of the road? Let's see what we can get ourselves into. All right, it doesn't look like we're on our socials, which is fine. I just wanted to double check. So yeah, if you're tuning in right now, I'm Meteorologist Robert Speta, by the way. We're here in the Protector. That's our First Coast News weather vehicle. This thing's got big tires on it. We can get to places that most cars can't get, but the number one thing is being able to get out and kind of observe what's happening around us here, and not just showing the radar, not just showing you what we're seeing here with the latest forecast or anything like that, but just actually showing a little ground truth. And the ground truth right now is basically this. We have Imelda just off towards our east. Sustained winds right now are at 60 miles per hour. Pressure's down to about 983 millibars. I'm actually gonna swing this camera around. And it is just offshore of, well, just basically due east of the Space Coast. But what we're seeing is the waves cascading from that, and not only from Imelda, but also our other storm system, Humberto, off towards the east. So it's the combination of the swells from Humberto, the wind and waves from Imelda that is creating, well, basically, yeah, right there, that was a big wave that just hit right there. And you can see, actually, if you don't mind slowing down, let's just take a look right towards our left here. We're gonna get some of these waves crashing right up on the rocks right there. Yeah, so this is what we're getting, basically. It's that wave action. Now I know further up to places like Jack's Beach, you know, with tide going down, places like the pier are going to be seeing, but the big thing is the rip currents that we're kind of getting out of that and some of that. So let's actually, you know what else I was doing here? Let's go all the way to the end of the road. I want to show them the houses, and let's hope that my computer froze on me again. If you guys can hear me back in the studio, can you throw up the track or something like that? That would be cool for the graphics. But basically, this just keeps on freezing at me, which is to be expected considering where we are here, basically on the waterfront. Our live connection is going to be a little bit rough for my computer. Let's go all the way to the end though. And I'm going to zoom right in. So basically, you see those homes right way off in the distance? Yeah, right there. So during Hurricane Ian and Nicole, those houses, prior to those storms, and even Irma for that matter, prior to those storms, these houses here were actually built on land, believe it or not. There was old A1A. You actually could drive out on the roadway here, and this, where we're stopped right now, where there's basically this dead end, this continued straight out in that direction. But yeah, with this, the recent storms eroding things away here and basically breaking down the dunes, and even right after Ian, this wasn't an inlet here just towards my right, but now it is a complete inlet, and it's completely opened up, and it actually can, during extra high tides like king tides, it goes over to some of the bridges right under A1A. So the point is, people built these $1 million homes right here, and Mother Nature said, no thank you, they took it back, and now we got, you know, this out here. So let's pull back the picture, let's take a look. Got a couple other people out in their cars right here. I hope he's not having any. So if you see somebody walking in front of us, looks like construction crew working on one of the homes here. Let's see. All right, there we go. There we go. We got the latest on Imelda actually up on the screen now. That's good. There, it shows you that pressure 988. I said 83 earlier. It might have been updated. 60-mile-per-hour winds, moving towards the north at 9 miles per hour. All right, let me try to chat with somebody here. I want to get some more. I think I got about 3 more minutes to talk to you guys. So once again, if you're jumping in right now, we're going to have an in-house stream continuing here in just a few minutes with meteorologist Ross Muma and meteorologist Lewis Turner. They're back in Jacksonville, and basically that's going to lead into the 5 o'clock show where I'll be out here once again. But once again, I am here in Summer Haven. This is in Flagler County, just south of St. Johns County, right almost on the border, right near the Matanzas Inlet. We actually just crossed the Matanzas Inlet a second ago. Big thing right now is high surf advisories. We got small craft advisories just offshore. You know, and another thing with some of these clouds that we're seeing just towards our west here, or excuse me, towards our east, some of these rain bands can get interesting sometimes and even spin up some water spouts, which we actually seen yesterday morning just offshore of Volano Beach. There was a water spout due to some of these bands just offshore. So, you know, I'm not saying that we're going to get tornadoes and stuff, but I am saying that some of these bands can create some rough conditions. It's kind of common, in fact, to see that embedded. And you're going to see just towards the east of St. Augustine, there's one of these little rain bands right there. And within that, that's where you could see some of these little water spouts kind of drop down. Will that bring damage? Probably not. If they come on shore, they can kind of throw things around. But the big thing is for boaters, surfers, you know, don't go out there on the water today, as we can see right here with this live shot looking out over Summer Haven, just of those big swells continuing to push on ashore. And like I said, the winds are kicking up right now. We're sustained at 20 miles per hour, sustained. Gusts have been up a little bit higher than that at times. Pressure is also continuing to fall. Now it's 2986. 2998 is your standard baseline pressure. So 2986 is just a little bit lower than that. 2970 inches of mercury, for those that if you hear pressure, you kind of, you know, your eyes gloss over, would be getting into a good, powerful storm system. So we're nowhere near that right now. Definitely a far cry from it. But I think the big thing right now is just making sure you don't go into the water here on the first coast. I can't stress enough. Even down towards the Space Coast, which is closer to this storm system, you know, they're just getting these passing showers. In fact, probably the worst of the weather is going to be just here towards Titusville and along the Space Coast. So we're talking about the Barrier Reefs, where no one is really at, okay? Unless you are working out there for NASA, you're not going to be venturing out to that area. Then we head back towards the north, though. You got that onshore flow. Let's see if I can pull up our winds right now. Actually, here we go. We got a current wind gust. Oh, nope, I hit it too many times. Well, we can go to this graphic right now. 5 to 6 feet just offshore. That is the wave action, not just the surf. And then we can even take a look at our wind gust. There you go. St. Augustine is gusting at about 24 miles per hour. Palm Coast at 23. NS Jax 23. So it's a windy day. it goes back to the fact that the storm system has been pulling off towards the east. Classic Fujiwara effect, which I'm
Good afternoon, folks. Welcome in. I'm Meteorologist Ross Speta, joined by Chief Meteorologist Lewis Turner.
Hey, Ross.
Update on the tropics here for you, and of course, just our local weather. The two of those kind of tied together here, at least today and tomorrow, Lou. We've been tracking Hurricane Umberto for the last several days. Tropical Storm Imelda here for the last several as well, and now beginning to see at least some of those minimal local impacts across southern, central, and now northeastern Florida and southeastern Georgia, at least with regards to the coastal impacts.
Yeah, I'm glad you emphasized the word minimal because they are. We are watching for things that could become a little bit of a nuisance through your day. In fact, we've got some bands of rain coming on right now in very tight, isolated sort of spots. But you get under them, and as you experienced on your drive last night, as Lee experienced on her drive this morning, you get under some, and they are blinding at times. So you got to be super careful and watch that evening commute. Pretty cool look on your visible. I have been looking at some convection popping. Did you notice that?
A little bit, yeah.
Pretty good convection on the kind of right side of Imelda, and now kind of watching. We will get an update in about 20 minutes. We're kind of going off of earlier data as far as exact numbers, but we should start to see that northeast movement. Very soon, starting to
get kind of pulled into the overall circulation of Umberto.
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of see that in the satellite load. But there's Umberto, Category 4 still, and now some specifics on Imelda.
Yeah, sustained winds right now, 16 miles per hour. As you mentioned, still to the north, but we are anticipating by 5 p.m. and especially by 8 p.m. tonight and even 11 o'clock, we're going to start to get a little bit more of that northeastern turn as the storm begins to pull away, not only from the Freeport Bahamas and that northeastern quadrant of the Bahamas, but from Florida and overall just the southeastern coast. You think back, what was it, Friday, even Saturday, some models were showing this, potentially making a landfall in the Carolinas, bringing not only a couple inches, but almost, over a foot, if not even 2 feet of rain to some portions of southern and North Carolina. Thankfully, that is not the case. The models have shifted, they've pivoted, and this is almost the best case scenario for most of us, Lou.
Oh, for sure.
That Umberto is at least going to skirt away, to the west of Bermuda. Bermuda shouldn't be impacted by Umberto. Now, it may be impacted by what will likely become Hurricane Imelda later on down the road here. But with regards to United States, stateside impact, fairly minimal besides some of the coastal concerns that we have out there right now and will continue to experience overnight tonight and through much of the day tomorrow as well.
It's interesting. You look at that picture and how kind of flattened it is, almost right parallel with the coast as far as your cloud coverage. And, a front, also our friend in all of this, kind of right along that edge with some upper level. Now, of course, when you're talking about tropical showers, you're talking about lower level, so that's lower level moisture. But up top, there's some bone dry air. Middle and upper levels of the atmosphere, some really, really dry air out there. And you kind of hope some of that makes it down to surface, get some lower dew points, and we could have some comfortable mornings maybe as we get past all this. Maybe that's not too far off on the horizon, some more comfortable mornings. Your cone for Imelda, still very, very confident, and considering how tight that forecast cone is, a cone taking into account forecast potential error. And even in a more northern and western track with the forecast, our impacts remain extremely minimal, even if it were to ride the edges of that cone. So we're good. We're in good shape, and the Carolinas still potential. We got some rain up there, but that's influences of other things than just the tropics, like the front I mentioned, as well as high pressure up to our north. That's going to really squeeze pressure gradient and bring in some good winds with our visuals of our steering currents here.
Yeah, well, and you mentioned that front, the upper level flow, the jet stream, and then the wind shear. I mean, we just go back a quick second here. Look how much it fans, up to the north, all the way from, northern Bahamas up to pretty much the Mason-Dixon line there between Maryland and Pennsylvania. The cloud shield, the rain moving up into the Carolinas, the mid-Atlantic states, and that's all from that upper level jet and the wind shear here, just kind of shearing apart at least the northern extent or flank of the storm. But we kind of showed the forecast cone, forecast models, those spaghetti plots showing the exact same thing here, Lou. Taking it off to the northeast, likely within, hopefully by the 5 p.m. update within the next couple of minutes, but certainly by 8 or 11 p.m. tonight over towards Bermuda, but most importantly away from us here on the First Coast, and really everyone up and down the eastern seaboard of Florida, Georgia, and the Carolinas.
Shout out Toby, who's streaming us right now. I want to shout him out. Toby, appreciate your interest in the weather, young man. It's awesome. Just got the message he's watching us, so at least we got a captive.
I thought you were talking about Toby back there.
Toby too.
On the ones and twos.
We got another Toby on the ones and twos.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's awesome.
I was totally thrown for a loop there.
Just
I was like, wow, Lou's feeling real appreciative about Toby in the back there. Okay.
We got some news about Toby. And
yeah.
My heart breaks. But let's continue on our weather tour. Now, let me explain something. So, tropical storm warnings that you see here, specifically offshore waters, right? So these are really looking. We had the tropical storm watches for land areas from Volusia County down, but we're looking at a situation now, except for the Bahamas, of course. But a lot of that is going to be primarily for the maritime traffic.
Yeah,
you stay the heck off the water. And the wind field here, a great way to look at it, even, on the edges of where we could possibly get tropical storm force, we're not going to experience that either. That magic number that we typically think about be 40. Mm-hmm. Will we get gusts to 40? Will we get sustained winds to 40? When those things happen, other things are triggered that are highly impactful. Not the case with either one of these storms as they tango off into the night and with each other out in the way.
A little dance out into the ocean.
Yes, that's right.
Thankfully for us. So yeah, we're not going to see those tropical storm force winds. They're going to stay well offshore. Most of the winds out there today, Lou, have been out of the north 10 to 20.
Yep.
We've had a couple gusts upwards of about 26, 27 miles per hour.
Yep. Haven't even hit 30. Haven't seen that.
Yeah. And that's not just here, but you mentioned also down towards Melbourne and the Space Coast even.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just looking at some of the wind reports further south, I'm seeing gusts to 25.
Okay.
That's 26, 25, 26. That's about it. So that's even in areas that would be a little bit closer to the system. Going through Tuesday, it'll be persistent. All right, so persistent winds still through Tuesday morning. Still could see 20, 25 mile an hour gusts as we go through the afternoon Tuesday as well. With that, you get water stacking up against your beaches, potential for erosion, and those kind of impacts are the ones that honestly we've seen nor'easters over the last month that have done even worse, the persistent, because we've seen the gusts in previous nor'easters get up and over 30, 35, 40 at times. Rarely, but we have had it in the last month, and that would have not even been tropically induced. So we're getting our best case scenario here with this.
Yeah, so inland areas, if you're on land, you're looking good.
Yeah.
But if you're out on the water, it's not a good day tomorrow to be taking out the boat. We're going to have high surf advisories in place, small craft advisories. The wind gusts out there, certainly on the open waters, going to be a little bit rough and choppy out there.
All right, so first half of this beautiful stream is in the books. We're going to take a short time out and be right back after this break. Stay with us.
Welcome back. I don't know if Lou's going to do any singing for us there as we exited. So we're going to bring it back in. No singing this time.
None.
We'll just get right back into it. How about
Promise.
that?
Absolutely.
Take a look at your tropical headlines here, really for the rest of today, but into tomorrow as well. We're talking about the local impacts, specifically the rough seas. Lou and I mentioned that a bit already with regards to the high winds offshore, not so much onshore. But the high surf, dangerous rip currents. So if you have any beach days planned specifically for Tuesday, don't do it.
Yeah.
Probably not going to be the best day. We're not only that, we're going to also be watching for some coastal showers moving on shore. Now, you don't have to worry necessarily maybe as much about the sand spraying in your face. That has been a concern with some of the nor'easter conditions that we've seen as of lately. But wind gusts, I think at most, Lou, 30 to 35 miles per hour for our beaches and our coastal areas. Rain-wise, perhaps another half an inch to an inch and a half of rain over about the next 24 to 36 hours. But we will continue to watch kind of the combination of the strong winds and the higher tides for some coastal nuisance flooding here during times of high tide. So this was today. Many places have already, reached their highest water levels. But of course, by early tomorrow morning, we're going to see it again. And then a little bit later tomorrow afternoon is when we will reach these yet again.
Yep. So watching for tides. And the thing, and I'm glad you mentioned it about rainfall, the totals. So not impressive totals, but you'll notice impressive intensity. So you could have rainfall rates of up to 2 inches per hour, right? And that's pretty heavy rain falling at any given moment. But these bands aren't sticking around any one location for an hour. In fact, they're probably sticking around a location for maybe 5 or 10 minutes and moving on to the next spot. But you get under it for that 5 or 10 minutes, and that's when it's a slowdown on the interstate. And that's when you're, having to sprint inside or maybe having some ball practices in the late afternoon delayed or perhaps canceled. So listen out for your T-ball and Little League coaches' texts and stuff. Maybe y'all might have some wet ball fields, especially St. Johns County. We had pretty good rain overnight. I think some spots had 4 inches just overnight, and that would have been highly isolated. Just a lot of folks didn't have anything like that. Wave heights have been picking up. So late last week, we were seeing wave heights offshore 1 to 2 feet, pretty nice. And now we're at 5, 6, and probably through tomorrow and even Wednesday, because this, even as the storm moves out Wednesday, it relaxes a bit. But it's not just an on-off switch when it comes to wave heights. It's got to kind of gradually get back down to
Still have those long period
fishable.
swells.
Right. Yeah. Yep. And maybe better for surfers come Wednesday. Not as high rain chances.
Yeah.
And maybe a longer period as opposed to I'm being told like at the beach it's pretty sloppy, just short periods and just nasty waves, not ideal for surfing. Rip currents, we're watching out for that, of course. We're not. I mean, it's the weekday. I don't know. Maybe some people here visiting on vacation, some of our beaches. So avoid the dangerous ocean conditions. 5 to 6 foot surf Monday, 10 feet perhaps. That's pushing it, but that'd be on the top end certainly as we go into Tuesday, and then minor tidal flooding certainly 1.5 to 2 feet above your mean high water. Haven't seen coastal flood advisories unless they are underneath that purple, but I have not seen those yet either. I haven't seen those issued, and if they would be, that'd be maybe later tomorrow during that 2 to 4 o'clock time frame when we're getting to that afternoon high tide. Your winds, though, all right, freshen it up since we taught at noon. I was looking at this map at noon. This is certainly more. We were at 10 to 15 at noon. Now we're at 15 to 20. So picking up and overnight. So if you live at the beach or near the beach, and that kind of comforting whistle of the wind will lull you to sleep through the tree branches. But again, not
as the rain falls on the tin roof.
Oh yeah, that's poetry. But the gusts still below that 40-mile-an-hour mark. So I'm not seeing damaging wind and. The trampoline index, I think, is at a 0. I don't think you have to take apart the trampoline.
Oh, okay. I was like, I don't know if the trampoline.
You don't know?
Index.
You're not familiar with the trampoline index?
Yeah, well, not all of us were fortunate enough to have the trampoline.
I didn't have a trampoline.
Oh, okay.
You know what? That would have been a death trap for me. I would have broken a neck.
But I get what you mean.
But
if
buddies
if it's too high, you got to strap down the trampoline.
Sure.
Or else it's getting blown away.
Sure, because that's like the quintessential.
Gotcha.
How snow in snowstorms, the quintessential snowstorm picture that viewers will send in is the patio furniture. How much snow is stacked up on your patio table.
Yeah.
And then the quintessential tropical system or severe thunderstorm picture is like the bent trampoline. Or it's like
gotcha.
upside down in the street.
Okay.
Right? So I'm not worried about trampolines being tossed about for this one. So there's your trampoline index. We might
Okay.
need to make a graphic.
Yeah, I think we should.
might just
branded the Lou Turner Trampoline Index.
for giggles, we'll make a trampoline index, and maybe for our next snowstorm, the one we get every 15 years.
Hey, Waycross did see a little bit of snow last year.
Yeah, and I'm sure we got patio furniture with snow on it, just
Yeah.
to tell you know what I mean? I'm sure we did. It's got to be buried in there somewhere. Satellite radar.
No pun intended.
None.
Buried.
None intended. The bands are moving on.
Yeah, great.
Let me hydrate.
Great point. Yeah. So we kind of went through a couple different things here. SatRad, that showed all the rain moving up into the Carolinas. Yeah, locally, the heaviest rain still offshore by, what would you say that is, about 75 to 100 miles probably offshore.
Yeah.
We have these kind of just very narrow, I don't want to say weak bands because they do bring intense heavy rain for a very short period of time, but they're fairly quick paced.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to move through. It's going to rain hard for maybe a minute or two, and then it kind of lightens up. And that's what I experienced. I was driving back up from Orlando last evening on I-4 and then I-95, and it would rain real hard for maybe 5 minutes, and it would almost stop, and it was just kind of a light sprinkle and mist, and then you would happen to kind of run into another band, and the rain would pick up. That's kind of what we're seeing out there here today. Even during the stream, we heard it rain pretty heavy outside, but it was probably 60 to 90 seconds worth, and then
that was it.
That was kind of it. So be mindful of this, especially for the evening commute out there tonight. Roadways may be a little bit wet and tricky in some spots, Lou.
Especially, you just get caught under one of these. So we'll watch that evening commute time frame. Computer modeling going through the rest of the evening. It is lining up. Ross, those showers you mentioned, essentially those are lined up over the Gulf Stream.
Yeah.
So 50, 60, 70 miles out, and where that really warmer water is located. But as they get on shore, kind of just fall apart pretty quickly. So tomorrow afternoon, certainly still have the risk of seeing some showers, and that's right over the 95 corridor. That would be right around drive time in the evening. We'll watch out for that yet again, with those rain chances mostly relegated I-95 into the east.
Yeah, I think everyone has a chance to maybe at least see an isolated shower or very quick moving downpour moving on shore. But yeah, I-95 out to the beaches and the coastline going to have your best chance for rain tomorrow. But if you're looking for some more dry time, some more sunshine, Wednesday, Lou, you mentioned the drier area that's going to be working its way in on the backside, likely, of Imelda, perhaps some lower dew points, and some more dry time out there. So why don't we talk about that after we take another quick break? How's that sound?
Perfect.
All righty. Got about another 3 minutes or so before we tie a bow on this thing and wrap it up for you. So we talked a little bit about the dry air midweek, and I will talk about that here more in a second. But by the end of the week, Thursday, but really Friday and into the weekend, that drier air looks to perhaps recede back to the north. So it's going to be a narrow time of more sunshine and drier skies out there before we get kind of that influx or advection in of more tropical-like moisture, leading to more rain chances by the end of the week. So tomorrow, we talked about it. We're watching those coastal showers. It's going to be breezy out there, rough surf, and high risk of rip currents out at our local area beaches. Wednesday, that drier air comes in, so mostly sunny skies. It's going to be breezy, wind still out of the northeast. Temperature-wise, fairly comfortable, a few degrees below average, low to mid 80s there with a high of 83 for Wednesday afternoon. Let me go back quick. Look at the morning low, though, on Wednesday, 67. So that's some of that drier air mixing down to the surface, dropping those dew points at least a little bit more than what we've seen here over the past couple of days. It's been a little bit more humid and warmer during the overnight periods. Thursday, then, those winds begin to pick up. This is all from a stalled front and almost a nor'easter to a certain regard. Nor'easter conditions beginning to ramp up by late Thursday, really more so into Friday and the upcoming weekend. So 40% rain coverage on Thursday. We're going to up that a little bit more so by the time we get to Friday and then this upcoming weekend. So really, the winds by Thursday and Friday and for Saturday and Sunday actually going to be more than likely worse than what we're experiencing right now, and we'll likely see tomorrow. Gusts, especially Thursday, Friday, could be upwards of about 30, perhaps 35 miles per hour out at the beaches. So windier conditions by the end of the week, and actually better chances for rain. We're going with about a 40% chance tomorrow, lower on Wednesday. Most of us stay dry throughout the day on Wednesday. We're going to start to pick that up a little bit by Thursday, but 60% rain coverage Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So if you have outdoor plans this weekend or this upcoming weekend, just be mindful. It's going to be a little bit breezier out there. It's going to feel humid, although not all that hot, low to mid 80s. We're going to have off and on showers moving on shore throughout the days for both your Saturday and your Sunday. And then, of course, this time next week, we're already going to be talking about the Jags game against the Kansas City Chiefs over at Everbank. As of right now, looks like there could be at least some level of rain in the forecast, perhaps making things a little bit sloppy over there at the bank this time next week. But until then, still, weather impact alert in effect for Tuesday, primarily for the coastal showers during the morning commute and those rough surf conditions and the high risk of rip currents out there at our local beaches. Take care, folks.
Jacksonville for the 5th year in a row by weather rate. We take our forecasting very seriously, and we want to get every detail right and accurate. We know weather impacts your day, whether it's going to work, going to school, running errands, going to the beach, or out on the water. You need to know what time that rain is going to arrive, how hot it's going to be, if fog is going to impact you, or if it's windy. And we want to nail it every day for you.